Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Base Paths and Brewskis. Today is episode 20. Yes, we made it already to 20. Stifling the Southsiders. This is kind of I don't know, it was a bit of a joke of a series, honestly. We stomped these dudes pretty good, so we'll jump right into it with the beer of the pod, going back to that West Virginia beer, the Old Smoky Tennessee Moonshine, white chocolate strawberry flavored. Just took it out of the freezer. Nice and cold. Let's give it a taste.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's good. It. I got another bottle up here too. I got two of them just chilling. They're jar, so they're laying around. Got to drink those, I guess. Anyway, moving on. Player spotlight. I just went with Yelly after the big home run last series. I didn't have his last 5 games from um, today. It was starting yesterday, so I, off the top of my head, I don't know how many hits he had today, if he had any. But we do have the home run included in there, that 441-foot shot to right center. You can see that in the that one home run that's way further than the rest in his little spread, uh, whatever it is, the hit spread. If you look at his baseball savant, I mean, batting run value 15. That's good enough to not even really need him to play the field. His base running, to me, one base running value is 95th percentile. They must just need more like opportunities or something, because he's always taking the extra base. He stole home earlier this year, didn't he? Like he was like he's a very smart
Yeah.
base runner. So anything specific stand out to you in terms of, obviously there's a lot of red, which is typically like, you're in the high percentile in the league in certain things, but is there one thing that you kind of saw that maybe surprised you a bit, or something that you were hoping to see again return from his kind of MVP status a few years ago?
I mean, really, just his hit spread is pretty evenly spread out. Is like, he's not a dominantly pull hitter. He's consistently pushing the ball to opposite fields, too. So, I mean, that's definitely surprising. I always think of, most players would have that more pull dominant hit spread. So that's pretty cool to see from him. And then obviously, yeah, all those metrics that he ranks really highly in the percentile, it just goes to show that, he's kind of getting back into old Yelly form.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, if we look down at his counting stats, I mean, those are already looking decent. 6 homers is solid for where he's at in the season and how many games he's played. What else do we? I mean, OPS plus 175. That's over his 2018 MVP season, which obviously is only in 140 some plate appearances. So obviously not a full season's worth that would give him an MVP, but that's an extremely high number. And if he can keep it even above, 120, kind of like he did last year, that's a pretty solid season. So we can kind of move on from him. I just wanted to shout him out. There was a while there where it just seemed like he was, a couple of years ago, where he was kind of rolling over everything. Couldn't even really get on base as much as, we'd expect from a guy getting paid that much. And just really wasn't slugging at all. And his slugging numbers have taken a huge step up. I mean, you can look on his baseball reference page that I have linked on here. He's got, 2021, 373, 2022, 383, 2023, 447, and now he's back up to in the fives, mid fives with his slugging. So that's pretty fantastic. And when Yelly goes, the Brewers go. We have a lot of guys like that, but he's certainly one of those core guys on the team. So let's jump into the first game. 12-5, big win for the Brewers. We were watching this, somewhat early on, and then it kind of got out of hand, and so did we as well with the drinks. I
Yeah,
mean,
we did.
I'd say we put up a 12 spot on the fucking bars too. So, uh, yeah, I mean, Tobias Myers. I don't know if people call him Toby, but I'm going to. Uh, Gave up 5 in 4 1/3. So obviously wasn't his best game. He does seem to kind of give up a home run every time he pitches. But I mean, the offense is really what we need to talk about in this game. Do you want to start us off just kind of And any couple players that you want to mention and talk about how they performed so well, because I mean this team looked incredible.
I mean, yeah, it's I'd say the obvious pick, like you have down there at the bottom of the screen, is Christian Yelich going 5 for 6 with 5 RBIs. But honestly, I everybody did well. I think the only person that didn't have a hit was Willie Adames. He went 0 for 4, but even he had 2 walks, so he was getting on base as well. So I mean, this was just kind of one of those complete games from the offense where it felt like every time somebody got up to the plate, they were going to put a good swing on a ball and put it in play, and they ended up finding a lot of holes.
Pause.
No home runs. No home runs on the night, which is not something you'd expect to see when you see a score of 12-5. But I think that
Mhm.
just goes to show the kind of small ball that we like to play, just getting guys on and then moving them over, whether it be via stealing or more hits. So, I mean, overall, just a great game to watch offensively.
Yeah, I think like you said, not a ton of home runs in this game, but as a team, when you're not needing to hit as many home runs, we're currently eighth in the league in home runs this year with 67. So, I mean, obviously it's still a big part of our game, but the Brewers used to really be a team that relied on, the pitching staff giving up 3 or less runs and having 2 to 3 home runs a game. And, when we can put up 12 with not having to hit home runs and just having guys who can run the base as well, hit for power that isn't necessarily a home run. I mean, Joey Ortiz is kind of on a doubles tear right now. It seems like every game he gets up there and slaps one to the right or left center gap, and or he finds a space in the outfield and he's running to second. Usually someone's scoring. He's been knocking in a lot of runs. So I mean, I think that's definitely a huge thing that you mentioned there is that we didn't need the home run ball to do this. And I mean, this was a lot of damage. And, I guess we should put it into perspective. This is the White Sox.
Yeah,
We kind of expected this, but it doesn't take, I mean, they're big leaguers too. So, I mean, like doing this
professionals.
to,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, they're making millions of dollars, but some of them, I guess. But I mean, we're doing this to another professional team. It's pretty impressive. But in terms of the pitching, I guess we can kind of bounce back to that. Herget, not even really a bad performance this series. I think he had. We'll kind of touch on him a little more later, but 4 total innings, I believe, the series, and didn't give up a run. And I saw he had a change up today with like 22 inches of break or something like that, 22 inches of vertical break. That's nasty. I mean, that's
We have
Devin
a certain
Williams.
someone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Devin Williams-esque right there. I mean, that's pretty close. So I mean, I don't know if he's in the Devin Williams school of changeups, but that was a nasty pitch. And if he can keep that up, I mean, he'll have a spot on the big league roster, especially if he's able to go out there and kind of mop up, throw 2 innings, just not make us get back into watching the games, kind of turn the TV off, shut the notifications off the phone, and when he goes in, I mean, that's always fun too. So Paredes ends up with the win. He's been pretty solid. I think he came in. We'll talk. I guess we'll talk about him more. But he came in today in the game 3 of the series and got out of having a couple runners on. So that was pretty cool to see. But anyway, if I didn't mention already, Craft Brew Player of the Game, Christian Yelich. 5 hits, 5 RBI. I think that hasn't been done by a Brewer in I don't know how long. I think there was some stat put out about that doesn't happen too often, obviously. But I mean, he's just hitting the ball so well, and it was really nice to see. I think after this series, his average bumped up like I don't know how many points. I want to say like 20 some, 30 some points. Like he was hitting well. So
Yeah.
we
Shit.
anything you want to touch on with Yelich?
Yeah, just as average. Before the game, this first game, it was at 298, I believe, and this game alone
Damn.
raised it to 325 or 323, if I'm remembering
Yeah,
correctly.
325. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And almost one dotting the OPS on the season, which I mean, obviously he missed time, so you do have to take that into account with the rate stats like OPS. But I mean, to his credit, he's when he is healthy, he's out there playing almost every day. So anyway, moving on. Game 2, 4-3 win. This one was a bit closer. We watched this yesterday while we were kind of melting into the couch still.
yeah,
Um, Game 2, obviously we were paying quite a bit more attention to this game. It was a lot closer. Robert Gasser, 5 innings, 3 runs. Not too mad about it. 3 strikeouts. The home runs was a little worrisome for me because I don't think he has as rough of a day if he isn't giving up those home runs. But if he, so far in his career with the Brewers, which has been, only a couple games, that's a bit of an outlier having this kind of a stat line for him. So what did you think about Gasser's performance? And are you, maybe throwing this one out of the memory bank, or is this kind of, you know, bringing you back down to earth a bit on the expectations with him?
I mean, yeah, this is just, a rite of passage, it feels like. I mean, no pitcher goes their entire career getting untouched throughout in a start. So, I mean, even then, he only gave up 3 runs over the course of 5 innings. So it's not like he put up a 5, 6, 7 spot and completely put us out of the game. It was, 2 home runs on good swings by the White Sox. I think one of them was what? Gavin Sheets, lefty lefty. I mean, that's a tough matchup to hit a home
His
run in. That's pretty
first,
impressive.
yeah, it was his first lefty career home run, I believe.
Yeah. And then Andrew Benintendi, another lefty. So, I mean, the, you know, you can't be too mad at it. That's a
Hmm.
favorable matchup, lefty lefty for the pitcher, but I think we'll take that all day if that's considered a bad outing for Robert Gasser.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, no walks. His walk percentage is below 1% right now, which is, it's 100th percentile in baseball. So I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in terms of limiting walks, which is, I'm always a uh, huge supporter of the guys that don't walk people because, if you give up a hit, that's fair. But I mean, a single is the same as a walk. So if you're giving up free walks where guys don't even have to earn it, you don't give your defense a chance to help you out. Like, I mean, that can hurt the team a lot more than just a single, in my opinion, even though they are kind of the same play. But yeah, bullpen came in and they shut shit down. I mean, really, it gave up one hit. Nobody walked anyone. So once they came in, it was kind of, wraps for the White Sox, so to say. But um, in terms of, I kind of wanted to talk a bit about their pitching as well, which isn't something we normally do. Crochet was nasty. Garrett Crochet,
Uh
uh,
huh.
another guy on my fantasy team, I'll say, stud. But I mean, only one walk with 8 strikeouts. That's nasty. And then Kopech, he was throwing heat. Like that dude he's kind of nuts. And uh,
Yeah. I want to
I
know
I
where they're
don't.
finding these tall pitchers that throw cheddar. They look like
Well, I mean,
Vikings.
it's like a Chris Sale kind of thing too. Like they had him for a while, and it's just like they get these pitchers, and it's like, how do they develop these dudes? And then they just go on, and he'll probably go on to have a better career somewhere else, honestly, because that kind of seems to be what happens.
Win a
But
ring or something.
yeah, he's a free agent in 2026. He's ARB eligible through next year. Like that could be a potential dude to look at adding, in my opinion. Like he was super impressive, and the Brewers seem to like having the lefty guys who come in. They kind of have the weird arm angle, and then have some of these righties come in as power pitchers like Paredes, Figueroa. Have dudes that come in, McGill, to just fill it up with Cheddar. And I mean, I think Kopech could be another one of those guys that could be a potential ad. So anyway, moving on. We don't normally talk about the other team, and especially the White Sox. There's really not much to talk about. But again, the offense, everyone kind of contributing a little bit. Maybe not the bottom half of the lineup, as you can see on the box score if you're watching on YouTube, but. Joey Ortiz once again getting a hit, getting an RBI. William Contreras hitting, getting on base, scoring runs. Like it's the same guys that are plug and play every day. They do this, and there's a reason they're out there playing every day. Willie Adames 2 for 5, 3 RBIs. Now, a thing I wanted to kind of touch on with him being the craft brew player of the game, we kind of read that. I don't know if it was a press release or a news article, what it was, but basically, you can touch on it more. It was the article describing that the Brewers have already basically said they can't afford Willie Adames. And I don't get the strategy behind that. So if you want to talk a little more about that, like go ahead. I'm kind of enraged by it, honestly.
Yeah, essentially, it's just a snippet that I saw of. I don't know where it's from, but Atanasio, um, basically saying, Willie Adames has been great, but we just can't afford him, and he's likely going to walk after. We're likely going to let him walk after the year. And it's kind of like, why would you say that?
Dude, because I mean,
It's
obviously, if we're playing good, he doesn't. I don't think he would go at the deadline.
yeah,
Even though we have Ortiz who can fill in at short, I think easily. Uh, but Adamas is like a core piece of this team, and it does kind of suck that right now he's basically seen as a rental piece, a one and done playoff push kind of guy. And it kind of sucks that you can't really, go out and buy his jersey right now because it's not going to fucking matter next year when he's wearing, Yankee pinstripes or Dodger blue cap, So
I will be sick.
yeah, like
And
you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be some team like or like the Mets, and it's just gonna be some big market team that can pay for him. And I just am praying it's not like the Cubs or someone that we see all the time because it's gonna make me a little upset having to see Adamas in a different team's color just because he is that guy. I know yesterday, what were you saying? The whole game, it always comes down to Willie. It's
it's
always
Willie.
Willie.
It's
It's
always
Will.
Willie.
Yeah, and I
There's
mean it's true.
it's between. I don't know if there's anybody on the team currently who I'd want up in a big spot like he was on Saturday with a chance
Mhm.
to tie and win the game. Maybe Yelich, maybe Contreras, but Adamas has just consistently proved to be the guy in those moments.
Yeah, just kind of
And
ice in the veins, dude.
and
Nuts.
then he's also just the heart and soul of the team. Independent of baseball, he's always out there smiling, having a good time, and the fact that they want to let that walk, I think, is going to play a bigger role than they maybe realize. Having somebody that kind of radiates that kind of energy every day, it seems like, is every day he's in good spirits. He's happy to be here. He wants to be here, and he's playing hard. It,
Yeah, I think like I don't know which game it was. It was a few weeks ago, and the broadcast crew they summed it up perfectly. Willie Adamas when he's out in the field or in the dugout, you don't know whether or not he's 4 for 4 or 0 for 4. Like he is the same person, same energy, brings the same effort to the field, cheers on his teammates just as much, celebrates his teammates probably more than his own victories. Like this dude is the ultimate like team. He's the ultimate shortstop. Like great fielding shortstop, can hit the shit out of the ball, and he's just a fantastic teammate. Like it's tough that the ownership isn't able to maybe fork out some more money for a stud like this. Like what we traded for him. Obviously, we had a couple of years of control with him, but that's come up now, and it kind of sucks that it's like once they hit that sixth service year, it's like, you can kind of kiss them goodbye unless they're already on a extension. So that's kind of sad to see. But anything else you wanted to touch on this game before we move on to game three?
no, not really. Like you said earlier, bullpen came in and dominated. Like we've kind of gotten used to seeing the season is just anybody that comes in being pretty lights out. Um, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you just we can end it by just looking at, I mean, the ERAs of our guys on the screen. Gasser, 2.5, Koenig 2.1, McGill 2.4. Pyamp's a bit of an exception with 3.86, but he also is a guy who faces, a lot of the tougher hitters. He's a higher leverage pitcher for us, so
Yeah,
that's understandable. 2.81 Peguero and 3.1 from Milner, which honestly surprised me because it seems like Milner's kind of been the guy giving up runs this year, but he also kind of had that scoreless streak for a while. So, I
yeah.
mean, our bullpen is nuts, dude.
And shout out Trevor McGill too. This was his first appearance back after taking that liner earlier this week.
Yep.
And you could barely tell that it. You probably wouldn't be able to tell if they didn't talk about it in the broadcast that
Hmm.
he'd been out for a couple days because he just looked like his normal self. Touching 99 pretty
Yep.
easily
Yeah, he
and
looks like an
striking
ox.
outside. Yeah,
Yeah. Like, I mean, he goes out there and just looks like a freaking bull out there. But yeah, this one did end up going to extras. And then, Willie Adamas walked us off. Kind of a shitty defensive play from, I don't know who was at short,
Ro-
Remillard.
Ramil, yeah, he had a
Yeah,
lot of bobbles in that game. He let
yeah,
Contreras reach on like a ball up the middle that he just couldn't hold on to. So yeah, he was struggling out there. It seemed like,
yeah.
but again, you'll take what you can get.
Right. I mean, a win's a win. We took it, and we headed into game three and won it 6-3 today, which was good performance. Freddie Peralta, a little shaky at the start, kind of ran into some trouble right away, and then he settled in. He ended up going 5 innings after throwing like 40 pitches in the first inning. Struck out seven, typical Freddie. I think it's kind of funny because we just were kind of gassing him up about how he's one of our only guys that goes past 5, 6 innings, and kind of got stuck at that five because of a tough first. But again, Herget came in, 2 solid innings, struck out 5 dudes. Obviously, when you're going to be striking out guys like that, the walks are going to come in with that too, which is understandable. When you're trying to paint the corner, you're not going to get calls. Umpire today was, I don't know how much you saw of it, but the umpire today was pretty shaky with some of these calls.
Bag.
And yeah, I know a lot of guys weren't very happy, and uh, it kind of showed with some of the walk and strikeout numbers we saw. But Paredes came in, shut it down at the end of the game. He ends up getting the save. I don't know. Is that his first career save?
Yeah, it is. British.
Nice,
Yeah, and that's
nice.
Hergert's first career hold.
Oh, nice. So yeah, a lot of firsts. Um, in terms of the order, I mean, once again, the offense putting up six. I think I saw a graphic on Twitter that we lead the league in 7+ run games in terms of offense. So, like, this has got to like I'm sick of now hearing like Brewers need to add a bat. Brewers need to add a bat because like where the hell do you fit a bat in? Especially when you have Mitchell coming back. Um, everyone's hitting the way they are, unless there's some knock on wood like major injury. I mean, this lineup, if we just keep rolling this out, I don't see any problem with this. And honestly, I don't even see a problem with really any parts of the team, just the way we're playing right now. But in terms of the craft brew player of the game, I gave it to Churio. That 3-run bomb he hit was
Man,
nasty. It was kind of a hanging breaking ball he got from Nastrini and just destroyed it. Sat back on it, smoked it to left field. And dude, I think that's kind of a little pick me up he needed. Ended up getting another hit in the game. Ended up with the 3 RBIs. Ended up putting us up, and giving us that fourth run that ended up winning the game for us. Obviously, we tacked on some more later, but what do you think about Churio, man? That was a nice thing to see. Sometimes I feel like he goes up to the plate and I kind of just expect something that's going to be either a weekly hit or a strikeout, and have to see him either try and hustle something out or just hustle his ass back to the bench. And I mean, this was a solid game from him, and it was really a little breath of fresh air with him. So what do you think? If you put yourself in Churio's shoes, what are you thinking after this game?
I mean, I'm started probably start to feel pretty good. I mean, even though it is the White Sox, but again, they are professionals, and going out there being able to go 2 for 4 with a homer, I mean, got to feel pretty good about that. Carry a little bit of confidence into the Philly series that they're heading into. Hopefully, we kind of start seeing them trend upwards a bit because it feels like now we'll get one of these games where he's 2 for 4, hits a home run, and then he'll go
Yep.
2 weeks where he's maybe going 1 for 4, more than
Yeah.
likely 0 for 4, 0 for 5, and it's just yeah, like you said, a lot of weekly hit stuff, a lot of striking out, and it can't be good for his mental as a young
Right.
dude when that happens for those long stretches. So hopefully this can kind of start to be, a bit of a hot stretch.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we saw it in game two. Obviously, he's been making some nice diving plays, which has been great to see. Clearly, the talk from Ricky Weeks and Pat Murphy and some of the teammates that, and I'm sure other coaches as well. But we saw, on the broadcast, he was talking with some people about, making those diving plays. But then he kind of had that blunder where he basically backhanded Terang in the face or the back of the head as he's going out trying to make a play where you can clearly see Terang calling him off. And it just does seem like it's getting to be a little, maybe the lights are a little too bright for him right now. And that's totally fine. I mean, dude's 20 years old. I know when I was 20 years old, I definitely couldn't be doing this with this kind of pressure. And we talked about that where, if you're a young dude like this making millions of dollars all of a sudden, that can be a very hard thing to deal with. And I think definitely the big thing is though, is like being patient with him. Like I'm not expecting him to be a 330 hitter hitting, a home run every 10 plate appearances. Like that's just not what he's going to be right now. But definitely seeing growth like this and building block games that he can, take the extra step to go forward, reaching towards that goal of being, potential all-star, potential all MLB kind of guy. So great game from him. Definitely want to give him his props, his roses. So another guy who performed very well, Joey Ortiz, reached base 3 times, and that's just kind of his MO lately. Like he gets on base, he hits the ball hard, he plays phenomenal defense at third base. Like he hustles too. So I mean, this is a he definitely fits our player type of like the Freelicks, the Charangs, of being very good athletic fielders who just give it 100% effort. And even when the bat's not always going, they're finding ways to get on base and finding ways to help the team on the base path. So overall, I mean, I think the offense again just showed a consistent 6-run game. Had most guys with at least one hit. The only guy was Sal Frelick who didn't have a hit. Still ended up scoring a run though. So I mean, a great game. I mean, there's not much more you can say. You can kind of wrap up this game if you'd like and touch on anything you like, whether it's the pitching, hitting, or a little bit of both. So I'm gonna pass the mic to
Yeah.
you here a bit.
Let's talk about that play at home with Tommy Pham.
Yeah.
That is
Tommy Pham.
First off, he's 3 feet inside the line, trying to. Contreras is giving him the entire outside of the plate.
Yep.
And looking at it from down the line, he's probably safe if he slides outside.
Yeah, it's at least a play. You have to, give it to the umpire to make a decision, which as a runner is kind of what you have to do.
Yeah, but to slide into him, you're on the infield grass, slide in directly into Contreras, maybe trying to have him drop the ball or whatever, but he still wasn't even close to the plate.
No.
And then to get pissed off when Contreras has something to say about it,
right.
That's even softer than the whole bunt thing with Chris Martin and the Red Sox a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's just the lack of self-awareness.
Yeah, and like after the game, he's talking about this is in the off season. This is why I practice fighting. Like, then do it, bro. Like
yeah,
you're sliding.
Ran away from
weak ass slide. First of all, didn't even push Contreras over. He stood up over him and waved the ball in his face. Probably spit on him and called him a bitch. Like, I mean, like that's you can't be mad when you do some stupid shit like that. Like, I don't know, but that was ridiculous. Then he's out in the outfield pouting, and it's like, you just got swept, dude. You're on a team that like can't even shit out a win.
Did you see him shadow boxing a little bit? It's like it's
dude.
It's embarrassing. Yeah, like you had all the chance at the plate, but you immediately start backing up when Contreras is standing over you.
Yeah, all right, man. Then you start walking back, and you just happen to start hearing it when you're halfway back to the dugout. Like, I don't know.
Somebody hold me back. Somebody hold me back.
Yeah, that's pretty bitch made. But
maybe he should be doing more baseball in the off season instead of fighting. Then maybe he could stick with the team.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's why you're on the White Sox, man. Like, that's why you're on the White Sox. But yeah, I mean, he's also a guy who like punched his teammate before over fantasy football. Like, the dude's kind of just I don't know. He seems like just kind of a punk, honestly. Like, I get like being competitive and stuff, but that was just kind of like a shitty play, and like you're trying to punch the ball out.
It's his fault.
I mean, if the catcher blocks the plate, then it's an automatic run. So like, what do you want him to do? Maybe talk to your third base coach about not being a retard. I mean, a dumbass, and sending you and sending you on a clear play that Yelich is gonna gun you out. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Yelich with that throw.
And Yelich, they always say weak arm Yelich. Nah, man, he had a play against the Mets, first game of the first series of the year, and this throw, like, he needs to be in the field. He doesn't need a DH. This dude can play the field.
A scumbag when 95% of Twitter replies to the situation are saying, "Yeah, that's on Tommy Pham."
Yeah, like dude.
Nobody
What?
agrees on Twitter, but they agree
Yeah,
that dumbass for that.
yeah.
That's
I
got to
mean,
tell you something.
yeah. And I mean, that's just I don't know. There's not much more to say about that other than Tommy Pham's just kind of a bitch, and like, I mean, that's yeah, dude. What a joke, man. Uh, yeah, that's why you got 0 All-Stars, buddy. All right. Anyway, series awards. The 2-out offense wins MVP. I think we should just have the first 2 hitters go up and
Out,
intentional
swing at
strikeout.
everything. Yeah,
Just
just swing at
just
everything.
don't even swing. Just go sit down on the bench. Intentional strikeout until 2 outs, and then we go because that seems to be what happens. Anyway, moving on. Barrel blaster. Joey Ortiz, like I said, just kind of seems to be hitting the ball hard every game. He's impacting the game on offense, defense, which I know Barrel Blaster is more aimed towards the offensive side, but Ortiz just kind of been doing it for me, for the team. Crafty pitcher, Kevin Herget, 4 innings, kind of like I talked about, of solid work, dirty changeups. Like, that was nice. And then Mr. Stand on Business. Stand on business. William Contreras, man, Wild Bill, just having an MVP type season, and then just setting down Tommy Pham, shutting him down. He's got him shadow boxing the mosquitoes out in center field, and
Bothered in the
dude,
dugout, just like
yeah.
what? He just made him look like an idiot by
And I
not.
haven't seen one person defend Tommy Pham, kind of like you said. So
Besides, like some
anyway,
dumb Sox fan, I think I
yeah,
saw maybe 1 or 2 that were like, "Oh, great play." I was
yeah.
like,
Yeah, whatever. But I got a question for you. So for the BNB MVP, I obviously couldn't come up with a single player to give it to. I challenge you to give it to one guy, not the two, not the whole offense, not the bullpen. Kind of like I took the bitch route out of this and just picked a whole like style of offense. But you pick one guy who gets the BNB MVP for this series.
okay. I think I am gonna have to go. Oh, this is tough.
Yeah,
This is
it
tough because
was.
there's a couple guys that over the course of this series just either raked or they pitched extremely well consistently. Um,
Mhm.
hmm,
It's
I'm
okay.
gonna.
You can give it to Yelich.
That's exactly what I was gonna give it to.
I knew it.
I was between him and Joey Ortiz, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to Yelich. I mean, I think
Yep.
just proving why he's starting to be worth all that money we're paying him once
Right.
again. Just that consistent superstar bat in our lineup,
Yep.
Mr. Steady. So
Mr.
yeah,
Eddie Steady. Eddie
yeah, I'm gonna
Steady
give it to I'm
Spaghetti.
gonna give it to Yelich. That's
Yeah. That's fair. I like it. I like it. B&B trivia. What Chicago White Sox radio play-by-play announcer was a former Brewers broadcaster with Bill Rock Schroeder? I believe it was 1999 through 2002. He was on the broadcast. Do you remember who it was? Was it A, Harry Carey, B, Ken Hawk Harrelson, C, Bob Uecker, or D, Len Casper?
it was Len Casper.
Yes, sir. If you answer D to that question, uh, I I just gave you a knuckle bump through the headphones, so great job. Um, yeah, anyway, moving on. That was kind of a boring trivia this week, I'll be honest. But up next, the Brewers 36 and 23 travel to Philadelphia, where Reese Hoskins gets to face his former team, the Phillies, back in Pennsylvania. Uh, 41 and 18, I believe they are playing right now, so the record might be a bit different tomorrow. I think they're finishing up a series. I want to say the game started at like 7:10. Oh no, they won. So they are now 42 and 18. So beat the Cardinals. Oh no, I'm tripping. I'm tripping. I don't know what the record is. Don't
Yeah,
listen to me.
what are you talking about?
I was on Fridays. I was on Friday's game. It looks like they lost 41 and 19. Okay, glad we had that figured out.
Yeah.
Any projected starters tomorrow that we can see? It looks like we do not have a pitcher decided. I'm guessing that could mean an opener? Question mark?
Jared
Um,
Koenig?
yeah.
Let's
And then we'll
let's
be facing
go.
Zach Wheeler. So Zach Wheeler is a stud, 2.32 ERA. So we're gonna get a good one right away. So that'll be fun to watch. But anyway, wrapping it up. B&B beer requests. If you've had any beers you've been dying to try, if you have a go-to beer that I need to try, comment or reach out on any of the socials listed below with what I should drink next. Yeah, I mean, I'll take another sip of this moonshine. I did not finish the jar as it was full when I started, and that would be some psychopath activity if I would have finished that. Um, nice. I might be doing a little bit of a beer tasting this weekend, so I might have a couple new beers. Anything you want to end the pod with here, Dom?
Uh, no, let's go give it to Philly, man. The Prove It
Let's
series. Let's
go
see how
give
good
it.
they are.
Let's show them our cheesesteaks out here. Whip the cheesesteak out on the table. All right. Thank you for listening, everybody. Podcast is done. You guys have a good one. Good night.
Peace.